Life is nothing more than a collection of choices. Every path you take, every relationship you nurture, every goal you pursue, is shaped by a decision you once made. Some decisions lift you higher, others hold you back. The difference between success and regret often lies in your ability to choose wisely, not occasionally but consistently. This audiobook is your guide to mastering the art of decision-making, calmly, clearly, and confidently. A common deadly mistake: making decisions. Most mortals make half-hearted decisions. Today, you'll learn how to approach decisions with wisdom, avoid common traps, and create a mindset that allows you to make smart choices every time. Every choice we make carries weight, even if we don't immediately see it. Life does not move in sudden leaps, but in small, consistent steps, each guided by decisions made along the way. It's easy to believe that only the big choices matter: where you live, whom you marry, what career you pursue. But the truth is, the seemingly minor decisions, the ones repeated day after day, create the foundation of your destiny. They are like drops of water on stone, gentle, almost invisible at first, but over time, they shape everything. Consider two friends starting their journey into adulthood. One decides to spend 10 minutes each day reading, the other spends those same 10 minutes scrolling aimlessly. At first, the difference is negligible. 10 minutes doesn't seem like much, and neither of them feels transformed by their habit. But 10 years later, the one who read daily has consumed dozens of books, developed knowledge, sharpened thinking, and built confidence. The other, without realizing it, has trained their mind to wander, to seek instant entertainment, and to avoid focus. They both started in the same place, yet their lives now look drastically different. What created this gap? Not a single monumental decision, but 1,000 tiny ones, compounded over time. This is the hidden power of every choice. No decision is neutral. Each one pushes you closer to growth or pulls you toward decline. You may not notice the effect today, but the cumulative weight of your choices will reveal itself in the weeks, months, and years ahead. Like a sculptor chiseling stone, every strike shapes the outcome, even when the progress is too slow to measure in the moment. It is tempting to dismiss the small moments. Skipping one workout doesn't seem harmful. Spending money on one unnecessary purchase feels harmless. Ignoring one difficult conversation appears convenient. But repeat those decisions often enough, and they create a pattern. And patterns create a life. The direction of your life is rarely determined by one grand event. It is shaped by what you choose when no one is watching, in the quiet of your own mind, in the habits you build when you think no one will notice. This truth carries both a warning and a gift. The warning is clear: if you neglect your choices, if you drift on autopilot, you may wake up years from now wondering why life feels unrecognizable. But the gift is far greater. At any moment you can redirect your future. A single choice, made consistently, can alter the course of your life. Choosing to wake up earlier, choosing to eat with discipline, choosing to listen instead of react. These are not dramatic decisions, but they are powerful ones. Over time, they accumulate into strength, resilience, and wisdom. Imagine standing at a crossroads each day. One path is easy, familiar, and requires little thought. The other demands effort, sacrifice, and intention. The easy path feels comfortable in the short term, but the harder path, when chosen consistently, leads to growth. Most people underestimate the cost of always taking the easy road. What feels comfortable now often becomes regret later. What feels difficult now often becomes freedom later. There is a simple phrase to remember: decisions decide destiny. Every time you choose discipline over comfort, clarity over confusion, integrity over convenience, you are shaping a future you will be proud of. And every time you compromise in the small things, you hand over the brush that paints your life to chance. The greatest advantage you can give yourself is to live with awareness of this truth. Pause before every choice, no matter how small, and ask yourself, is this decision moving me closer to the person I want to be or further away? If the answer is clear, act on it. Small steps may not feel powerful, but remember this: mountains are climbed one step at a time, rivers carve valleys drop by drop, and legacies are built decision by decision. It stands directly from legacies are built decision by decision. Your future self is waiting for the choices you make today, and the person you become will thank you or resent you for the direction you choose right now. Choose with care, because every choice counts. Imagine standing at a crossroads where two paths stretch before you. One is brightly lit, urging you to rush forward without thinking, driven by impulse and excitement. The other requires you to pause, to breathe, to weigh the options before you take a step. In that pause lies the difference between a reaction and a decision, between regret and wisdom. So often, we believe that being decisive means acting quickly. But the truth is, smart decisions rarely come from speed alone. They come from clarity. And clarity comes from the willingness to pause before you choose. Think about the last time you reacted too quickly. Maybe it was in a conversation where emotions ran high. Words left your mouth before your mind caught up, and later you wished you had taken a moment to reflect. A single pause could have saved you from conflict, misunderstanding, or hurt feelings. The pause acts like a filter, sifting the raw emotion from the steady wisdom that lies beneath. There's a story of a leader who faced a heated boardroom discussion. Voices rose, tempers flared, and all eyes turned toward him for a decision. Instead of speaking immediately, he leaned back in his chair, closed his eyes for just a moment, and breathed deeply. The silence in the room felt heavy, but when he opened his eyes, his answer was calm, measured, and wise. That one pause shifted the entire energy of the meeting and prevented rash choices that would have cost the company dearly. You see, the pause is not weakness, it is power. It is the courage to create space between stimulus and response. When you pause, you gain time to ask yourself, is this the right choice for me? Am I acting from wisdom, or am I being pushed by pressure? These questions are simple, yet they can transform a moment of uncertainty into a moment of clarity. Practical tools can make this pause a habit. Before deciding, count slowly to 10 and breathe deeply. This simple act signals to your body and mind that urgency does not control you. If the decision is not urgent, give yourself a night to sleep on it. Many wise choices are born in the quiet hours, when your emotions settle and perspective widens. Think about the power of silence in everyday life. A student about to reply hastily to an email takes a moment, rewrites their response with calm words, and gains respect rather than conflict. A parent frustrated with a child's mistake pauses before scolding and instead turns it into a teaching moment filled with love. A professional tempted to quit on a difficult project in anger takes a walk, clears their head, and returns with renewed determination. In each case, the pause saved them from a poor decision and guided them toward a better one. The truth is, very few decisions in life demand immediate reaction, yet we treat most of them as if they do. We rush because others expect an answer, or because our pride wants to prove we can decide instantly. But speed without clarity often leads to regret. Smart decisions are not about how fast you make them, but about how deeply you understand them. And here's a reminder: pausing doesn't delay your life, it protects it. It shields you from the weight of unnecessary mistakes and gives you room to respond with wisdom. Over time, this practice builds a reputation. People begin to see you as someone thoughtful, reliable, and calm under pressure. That reputation opens doors, earns trust, and creates opportunities that impulsive decisions would have closed. So the next time you feel rushed, pressured, or emotionally charged, remember, you are not obligated to decide right away. Step back, breathe, allow the pause to work for you. In that silence, your best self will emerge, and from that place, your choice will not just be quick, it will be smart, steady, and aligned with the life you want to build. Every decision you make is like steering a ship. Without a compass, you drift wherever the wind blows. But when your compass is clear, you know exactly where to go, no matter how strong the waves or how loud the storms. That compass is your values, the things that matter most to you, the principles that guide your life. When you define what matters most, the decisions that once seemed complicated suddenly become simple. Think about how often confusion comes not from the options themselves, but from not knowing what you truly want. Imagine being offered a job in another city. The salary is impressive, the title prestigious, but the role demands long hours and leaves little time for family. Without clarity of values, you wrestle with the decision, torn between ambition and connection. But if you've already decided that family is your highest priority, the choice becomes clear. The offer may be attractive, but it doesn't align with your compass. And when you know your compass, you can say no with peace instead of doubt. There is a quiet strength in people who know what they stand for. They don't chase every opportunity. They don't bend under pressure to please others. They don't lose themselves in the noise of comparison. Instead, they filter their decisions through the lens of their values. Like a sculptor who chips away what doesn't belong, they refine their life until only what matters most remains. You can begin this process today by asking yourself 3 simple questions. First, what do I want my life to stand for? Second, what kind of person do I want to be remembered as? And third, what choices would I regret not making? The answers to these questions are your guiding lights. They are not always easy to admit, but they are always true. Consider the story of someone who built wealth through relentless work, only to look back years later and realize they had lost connection with their children. Their decisions had been driven by external measures of success, not by the values they quietly held inside. Contrast this with another person who chose a modest career path but invested deeply in relationships, health, and learning. Their wealth wasn't measured in money, but in joy, peace, and fulfillment. Both made decisions, but only one lived by a compass. When you know what matters most, you can face crossroads with courage. A friendship that drains your energy no longer feels like a trap. You can walk away because peace matters more than approval. A short-term temptation loses its power because you value your long-term growth more than instant gratification. Even in the face of setbacks, you can stand tall because your choices are aligned with something greater than the moment. There's a saying, when values are clear, decisions become easier, and it's true. Think about the people you admire most. Their lives may not be free from difficulty, but they carry a sense of direction that others can feel. That sense of direction comes from living in harmony with what matters to them, not from chasing every opportunity or trying to please every person. This doesn't mean life becomes effortless. There will still be moments when the right decision is difficult, when the cost of standing by your values feels heavy. But even then, the peace that follows outweighs the temporary discomfort. You may lose approval, but you gain integrity. You may sacrifice comfort, but you gain clarity. And clarity is a gift that no one can take from you. So as you face the decisions ahead, pause for a moment and ask yourself, does this choice reflect who I truly am and what I truly value? If the answer is yes, move forward with confidence. If the answer is no, have the courage to let it go. Your values are not just words on paper. They are the compass that points you to the life you were meant to live. When you define what matters most, life doesn't become easier, it becomes clearer. And in clarity, you find the strength to make decisions that don't just move you forward, but move you toward the life you truly want. Imagine for a moment that you're standing at a crossroads. One path offers immediate comfort, the easy option that feels good right now. The other path is harder, less comfortable, but leads to something greater in the future. In that moment, the question isn't about what feels good today. The real question is, how will this choice shape my life tomorrow? So many of us get caught in the trap of thinking only in the present. We choose the sweet over the healthy meal, the distraction over the meaningful task, the comfort of procrastination over the discipline of progress. None of these choices feel damaging in the moment. But life is a collection of moments, and each choice builds on the next. When you start thinking beyond the short term, your decisions begin to carry the weight of wisdom. There's a powerful principle to guide this process, often called the October 10th-10 approach. Ask yourself, how will I feel about this decision in 10 minutes? How will I feel in 10 months? And how will I feel in 10 years? Suddenly, the haze of the moment clears. What seemed attractive now may look small when compared to the long arc of your life. Take the example of a student tempted to skip studying for an exam to go out with friends. In 10 minutes, the relief of not studying feels exciting. In 10 months, failing the course brings frustration. And in 10 years, the missed opportunity to pursue a career because of poor habits brings regret. On the other hand, choosing to study may feel difficult in the moment, but in 10 months, the passing grade brings pride. In 10 years, the habits of discipline and achievement open doors that never would have appeared otherwise. One choice, amplified by time, shapes the direction of a life. Think also of relationships. A moment of anger may tempt you to say words that hurt. In 10 minutes, the release feels satisfying, But in 10 months, the trust is weaker. In 10 years, the relationship may be broken beyond repair. Yet choosing patience, kindness, or silence in that same moment may feel harder at first, but will preserve a bond that grows richer with time. The long-term view doesn't mean ignoring the present. Life is lived moment by moment, but when your present actions align with the future you desire, the moment becomes purposeful. Every workout, every page you read, every dollar you save, every word of encouragement you speak, these may feel small today, but in the years ahead, they create strength, wisdom, stability, and love. It takes discipline to step out of the urgency of now. Advertisements, trends, and even people around you will push you toward instant gratification. But when you learn to pause and extend your vision beyond the moment, you begin to see what others cannot. You begin to build not just for today, but for the life you truly want. Picture your older self, 10 years from now, standing before you. What would they thank you for? Would they thank you for the choices you made with patience and foresight, or would they carry the burden of your short-term indulgence? Each decision today is a gift you either give or withhold from your future self. Long-term thinking is not about denying yourself joy. It's about choosing a deeper joy over a shallow one. It's about choosing progress over comfort, growth over stagnation, purpose over distraction. The rewards may not arrive immediately, but they will arrive surely. So the next time you face a choice, ask yourself not just what feels good now, but what will serve you in the years to come. The moment may whisper loudly, but the future speaks more truth. And when you listen to that voice, you become the kind of person who doesn't just make decisions, you make legacies. Picture yourself standing in front of 2 doors. One door is marked with excitement. It promises a rush of feelings, the thrill of following your heart in the heat of the moment. The other door is quieter. It asks for patience, for thought, for evidence. Many people rush toward the first door, guided only by emotion. But smart decisions are made by balancing both doors, the door of feeling and the door of fact. Feelings are powerful and they matter. They are signals that reveal what's happening inside you. Joy tells you what to pursue. Fear warns you of danger. Anger shows you where boundaries are being crossed. Yet feelings, while honest, are not always accurate. They are like weather, changing from hour to hour, influenced by mood, fatigue, or circumstance. If you make permanent decisions based on temporary emotions, you may find yourself regretting them when the storm passes. Consider the story of an investor swept away by hype. Everyone around them is excited about a new opportunity. Fear of missing out drives the decision, and without checking the facts, they put in their savings. Months later, the bubble bursts. Regret sets in, not because they took a risk, but because they ignored the evidence in favor of emotion. Contrast this with another investor who feels the same pull of excitement, but takes the time to study the fundamentals. They gather data, weigh risks, and only then decide. Their choice may not bring overnight thrills, but in time, it builds steady, lasting growth. This doesn't mean emotions are your enemy. They are essential to being human. But smart decision-making asks you to let emotions inform you, not control you. Facts act as the anchor when your emotions sway too strongly in one direction. Before committing to a choice, ask yourself, what are the facts? What evidence supports this decision? Am I reacting to how I feel or responding to what I know? One practical method is the timeless pros and cons list. On one side, write down what you gain, on the other, what you risk. Seeing the decision laid out on paper pulls you out of the emotional fog and into the clarity of perspective. Another method is to gather trusted information from sources you respect. Instead of leaning only on what you hope or fear, ground yourself in reality. Still, there's a danger in the opposite direction. Over-analysis. Some people spend so much time gathering facts that they become paralyzed. They wait for certainty that never arrives. Smart decision-making requires balance. Enough evidence to guide you, enough courage to act. Imagine someone hesitating to start a business until every risk is eliminated. They may wait forever, and in the waiting, the opportunity passes. Smart choices require you to prepare, but also to step forward when preparation is complete. Think of emotion and fact as two wings of a bird. If you rely on only one, you will fly in circles. But when both wings move together, you soar straight and strong. Feelings can inspire you to act, while facts ensure you act wisely. Daily life is filled with opportunities to practice this balance. A parent feels frustration with a child but looks at the facts. The child is tired, not defiant. They choose patience over punishment. A professional feels nervous before a presentation but reminds themselves of the fact. They have prepared thoroughly. Confidence replaces fear. In each case, feelings alone could have led to poor decisions. Facts alone might have left them cold or rigid. Together, they formed wisdom. So, as you move through the choices ahead, let your feelings speak, but let the facts decide. Ask yourself not only, what do I feel, but also, what do I know? In the meeting of those two questions, you will discover the balance of wisdom. And with that balance, you'll make decisions that are not just smart in the moment, but steady, reliable, and right for the long road ahead. Life often feels overwhelming when we are buried under too many choices. You open your phone to send one message and end up lost in a sea of notifications. You walk into a store intending to buy one item and 20 options compete for your attention. Decision-making fatigue isn't only about big, life-altering choices. It's the small, constant stream of micro-decisions that drain our clarity. In those moments, the smartest thing you can do is embrace simplicity. Simplicity clears the noise. It removes the clutter and brings forward what truly matters. When everything seems equally urgent, equally important, or equally tempting, you end up spinning in circles, second-guessing yourself, or worse, doing nothing at all. But when you reduce your options, your focus sharpens and decisions become easier. Think about the story of a young professional offered multiple career paths. One involved moving abroad, another was staying close to family, and a third promised creative freedom but little financial security. For weeks, they juggled every detail, comparing salaries, living costs, and potential happiness. The stress became unbearable, but clarity came when they asked, "What are the top 3 things I want in my life right now?" Once they stripped away the noise and simplified their values into 3 priorities, one option stood out clearly. It wasn't the easiest path, but it was the truest. Overthinking complicates decisions. It tricks you into believing that the more details you examine, the smarter your choice will be. But wisdom is often the opposite. Smart choices come from identifying the essence of what matters and letting go of the rest. Ask yourself, does this align with my values? Does it move me closer to the life I want? Does it honor my time and energy? If the answer is yes, move forward. If the answer is no, release it. There is peace in narrowing down your focus. A person who fills their closet with dozens of outfits may spend minutes each morning deciding what to wear. Another who limits their wardrobe to what they love never wastes energy on the decision. The same principle applies to your life. Simplify your commitments, your options, and even your routines. By doing so, you save mental strength for the choices that truly matter. Consider this. Some of the most successful people simplify their days intentionally. They reduce unnecessary decisions about meals, clothes, or minor tasks, so that their energy is preserved for the big challenges. The principle is simple. Your mental energy is finite. If you spend it on small distractions, you have less left for the decisions that shape your future. Simplicity also protects you from regret. When you try to chase too many things at once, you risk scattering your energy and ending up with nothing substantial. But when you commit to one clear path, even if it's challenging, you walk it with confidence. You stop looking over your shoulder at the options you didn't choose because you know you chose what mattered most. The next time you feel paralyzed by choices, step back and strip the decision down to its core. Write down every option if you must, but then circle the one or two that align most with your priorities. Ask yourself, if I could only choose one, which one would I feel proud of? That question alone simplifies everything. Remember, smart decision-making is not about handling more. It's about focusing on less. It's about trusting that by cutting away the noise, you are not losing freedom, you are gaining clarity. You are not limiting your life, you are aligning it. And in that alignment lies the wisdom to move forward with confidence. So simplify, remove the excess, choose what matters most, and let the rest fall away. Life becomes lighter, choices become clearer, and your path becomes far easier to walk when simplicity guides your steps. Failure is a word many people fear. It feels heavy, final, and shameful. But the truth is, failure is not the end of the road. It is a signpost, a teacher, and sometimes even the beginning of wisdom. To make smart decisions every time, you must learn how to see failure not as a punishment, but as feedback. Think of an athlete who takes a shot and misses. In that moment, they face two choices. See the miss as proof they aren't good enough, or study it as information for improvement. The best athletes in the world are not the ones who never fail. They are the ones who turn failure into fuel. They ask, what did I do wrong? How can I adjust? What can I learn for next time? And then they try again, armed with lessons instead of fear. You too will face moments when decisions don't turn out as you hoped. Maybe you invested time in a project that didn't succeed. Maybe you trusted someone who let you down. Maybe you chose a path that led to disappointment. These experiences are painful, but they are not wasted unless you refuse to learn from them. Every mistake has a message. Every failure carries within it a seed of wisdom. There's a powerful perspective to remember. The people you admire most did not get where they are by making perfect choices. They got there by making mistakes and then choosing to rise again, smarter and stronger. What separates those who grow from those who stay stuck is not the absence of failure, but their response to it. Failure teaches resilience. It builds strength, in the same way that lifting weights builds muscle, through resistance. When you stumble, you are forced to look more carefully, to slow down, to sharpen your vision. The pain you feel is temporary, but the wisdom you gain can guide you for a lifetime. Consider a business owner who launches a new idea. It fails and they lose money. If they stop there, the failure becomes defeat. But if they study what went wrong, maybe the timing was off, maybe the audience wasn't ready, maybe the product needed refining, they can build something better. Their next attempt succeeds, not in spite of the first failure, but because of it. There's a saying worth holding close: failure is not the opposite of success, it is part of success. To expect a life without mistakes is to expect a life without growth. The smartest decisions often come from lessons earned through wrong ones. Without those lessons, wisdom would remain shallow and untested. Of course, failure hurts. It stings our pride and challenges our confidence. But if you can see it as tuition, the price you pay for learning, it becomes easier to accept. Just as students pay for education, we all pay for wisdom through experience. Some of those experiences will be failures, but their value is immeasurable when we let them teach us. So, when you make a decision that doesn't work out, resist the urge to label yourself as foolish. Instead, ask, what is this teaching me? How can I use this pain to make better choices next time? In that moment, the failure becomes your ally instead of your enemy. Over time, something remarkable happens. The more you embrace failure as a teacher, the less afraid you are of making decisions at all. You begin to see that even a wrong choice carries lessons that a lack of choice never will. Indecision leads to stagnation. Wrong decisions, when studied, lead to growth. So don't run from failure. Walk through it. Use it. Let it sharpen your judgment and guide your future. Remember, the people who make smart decisions every time are not the ones who avoid mistakes, but the ones who turn every mistake into a stepping stone toward wisdom. There is a saying that no one climbs a mountain alone. Every great journey is supported by voices of wisdom, mentors, friends, or trusted guides who walk with you, offering perspective when the path is unclear. Smart decision-making is not about locking yourself away and solving everything on your own. It is about knowing when to seek counsel from those who see what you cannot. Too often, people mistake independence for isolation. They believe that asking for advice shows weakness or uncertainty. In reality, it shows strength. It reveals the humility to admit that you don't have all the answers and the wisdom to learn from the experiences of others. The most successful leaders, thinkers, and creators all share one trait. They surrounded themselves with wise voices. Think of someone about to sign a deal that looks promising. Their excitement clouds their judgment, but before committing, they consult a mentor who has walked the same road. The mentor notices small details in the contract, hidden costs, unrealistic promises, fine print that could lead to disaster. That single conversation prevents a mistake that might have taken years to recover from. The decision wasn't made alone, but it was still there. The difference was guidance. The truth is, others can often see what we miss. When you are in the middle of a decision, your emotions and biases can blur your vision. A trusted advisor offers clarity because they are not caught in your storm. They see from a distance. They ask the questions you forgot to ask. They challenge assumptions you didn't notice you were making. Their perspective is not meant to replace your own, but to refine it. Of course, not every voice deserves your attention. Wisdom comes not from asking everyone, but from asking the right people. Seek advice from those who have lived the lessons you are facing. A friend who constantly avoids responsibility cannot guide you toward discipline. A mentor who has endured failure and risen again can teach you resilience. The quality of your counsel shapes the quality of your decisions. There is a simple practice you can adopt. Before making a major decision, ask yourself, who has already walked this path? Who has experience that I lack? Who wants the best for me, not just what's convenient for them? When you find those voices, listen carefully. You don't need to follow every piece of advice blindly, but you do need to weigh it with respect. At the same time, surround yourself with people who challenge you, not just those who agree with you. A circle of constant approval may feel comforting, but it rarely leads to growth. The voices that stretch you, question you, and even disagree with you often provide the wisdom you need most. They sharpen your thinking and force you to see beyond your own perspective. Consider the opposite. Many poor decisions are made in isolation. A person keeps their plans secret, avoids feedback, and silences outside input. They act quickly and later regret that no one warned them of the pitfalls ahead. In those moments, the regret is not only about the decision itself, but also about the pride that kept them from seeking counsel. Seeking wise voices does not mean you surrender your responsibility. The final choice is always yours, but the strength of your decision multiplies when it is informed by the wisdom of others. Think of it as building a bridge. Your own knowledge lays the foundation, but the bricks are strengthened when others contribute their experience and perspective. So remember this: no matter how capable, intelligent, or experienced you are, you will always have blind spots. That is not a weakness, it is simply part of being human. The smart path is not to deny those blind spots, but to cover them with the help of others. Surround yourself with wise voices, and you will not only avoid mistakes, but also discover opportunities you would never have seen alone. Your future will be shaped not just by the decisions you make, but by the voices you allow to influence those decisions. Choose those voices carefully, and they will become an invisible force guiding you toward the life you truly want to build. There are times when logic has been exhausted, facts have been gathered, and opinions have been weighed, yet uncertainty remains. In those moments, a quiet voice inside you begins to whisper. It doesn't shout, it doesn't demand, but it nudges you gently toward one choice over another. That voice is intuition, your inner compass. And learning to trust it is one of the greatest strengths of smart decision-making. Intuition is often misunderstood. Some think it is just a guess, an unexplainable feeling that cannot be trusted. But intuition is not random. It is the subtle wisdom formed from your experiences, your observations, and even the lessons your subconscious has absorbed when you weren't paying attention. It is the mind's way of connecting dots too quickly for logic to trace. Imagine a traveler in an unfamiliar city who feels uneasy about taking a certain street at night. There is no clear evidence of danger, no noise, no visible threat, but something in their gut says, "Turn away." Later they discover that the road was known for trouble. That instinct wasn't magic, it was intuition. Shaped by subtle cues, the conscious mind didn't process, but the subconscious did. Think of times in your own life when you just knew something wasn't right, or when you sensed the right move before anyone else could see it. Perhaps it was choosing to accept an opportunity that didn't look appealing on paper but felt aligned with your heart. Perhaps it was walking away from a situation that others encouraged you to pursue. Looking back, you realize your intuition had seen something your reasoning had missed. Of course, intuition is not meant to replace logic. It is meant to work alongside it. Smart decision-making blends both, the head and the heart, the facts and the feelings, the evidence and the instinct. Too much reliance on intuition without reflection can lead to reckless choices. Too much reliance on logic without listening inward can lead to empty ones. Balance is the key. One way to develop this balance is to create space for silence. Our modern world is filled with noise, notifications, opinions, endless information. In the chaos, the voice of intuition is drowned out. But when you step back, take a walk, or sit quietly, that voice becomes clearer. It is often in stillness that your true direction reveals itself. Another practice is reflection. After making a decision, look back and ask yourself, did my intuition play a role? Was it accurate? What signs did I notice? Over time, you will learn to recognize when your inner compass is guiding you and when it may simply be fear or wishful thinking disguised as intuition. There is also courage required in following your inner compass. Intuition will not always point you toward the easier path. It may guide you away from something attractive or towards something uncertain. Others may question you. Doubt may creep in. But when you look back, you will often find that the decisions where you trusted yourself most deeply were the ones that shaped your life in powerful ways. Greatness often begins with a quiet inner yes, the kind no one else can hear but you. And so does protection, when intuition warns you to pause or turn away. Your inner compass is not perfect, but it is precious. It is a gift that grows sharper the more you honor it. So the next time you stand at a crossroads and all the analysis has been done, but clarity is still missing, listen inward. That soft whisper may not give you all the answers, but it will point you toward the choice that feels aligned with who you truly are. Trust it, refine it, and let it walk alongside reason. For when both intuition and logic guide your steps, your decisions will not only be smart, they will be deeply true. Every day you wake up, your mind is faced with hundreds of small choices. What to wear, what to eat, how to respond to a message, which task to tackle first. At first glance, these decisions seem trivial, but together they drain your energy. By the time you face the choices that truly matter, the ones that shape your future, you are already tired. This is the reality of decision fatigue, and if you do not manage it, even the wisest person can find themselves making poor choices simply because their mind is exhausted. Decision fatigue doesn't mean you are weak. It means you are human. Your mental energy, like physical energy, is limited. Just as your body tires after running, your mind tires after deciding. The more decisions you make, the harder it becomes to choose well. That's why the smartest decision makers are not the ones who make the most choices, but the ones who save their energy for the ones that matter. Think of a person who tries to keep every door open. They spend endless time debating over tiny details, which route to take to work, which pen to use, which show to watch. By the time they face important questions, whether to accept a new job, how to invest their money, how to handle a challenge in their relationship, they feel overwhelmed. Their mind is worn out from the weight of small, unnecessary decisions. Now, picture another person who simplifies. They eat the same healthy breakfast most mornings. They prepare their clothes the night before. They automate small tasks like bill payments. These small routines free their energy, so when big choices arrive, their mind is sharp, focused, and ready. They don't waste clarity on the trivial, because they've preserved it for what counts. One of the most practical ways to beat decision fatigue is to build routines. Routines are decisions made once and lived many times. When you create habits around food, exercise, morning rituals, or even work priorities, you remove hundreds of small choices from your daily burden. Instead of asking yourself every day, "Should I work out today?" you already know the answer. Yes. At the same time, in the same way. This habit doesn't just preserve energy, it builds discipline. Another method is prioritization. Not all choices deserve equal weight. Some are worth minutes of reflection, while others are worth only seconds. When you learn to sort decisions by importance, you stop wasting time on the insignificant. Ask yourself, will this choice matter in a week, a month, or a year? If not, make it quickly and move on. Save your energy for what truly matters. Technology can also serve as a tool to simplify. Calendars, reminders, and automated systems can reduce the strain of remembering every detail. But use them wisely. Don't fill your life with constant alerts and notifications that create more noise. The goal is fewer distractions, not more. The real danger of decision fatigue is not just poor small choices. It's that when fatigue sets in, you may avoid decisions altogether. Opportunities pass because you're too tired to say yes. Problems grow because you're too tired to say no. Indecision becomes your habit, and indecision is itself a decision, one that leaves you drifting instead of directing your life. The good news is that decision fatigue can be managed. By reducing clutter, simplifying routines, and focusing on what truly matters, you preserve your energy for the moments that define you. When others are too exhausted to choose wisely, you will still have the strength to see clearly and act decisively. So, take a look at your daily life. Where are you wasting energy on choices that don't matter? Where can you simplify, automate, or let go? Every step you take to reduce decision fatigue strengthens your ability to choose well when it matters most. And when you learn to protect your clarity, you protect your future. There is a truth about decisions that many people overlook. Indecision is itself a decision. Choosing not to act, hesitating until the opportunity passes, or constantly second-guessing yourself is a choice. One that often costs more than making the wrong decision ever would. To live wisely, you must not only choose carefully but also commit fully. Once you decide, move forward with strength and don't look back. Imagine someone standing at the edge of a diving board. They walk forward, then back away. They hesitate, look down, feel the fear, and step back again. Minutes pass, the sun sets, and they never jump. The pool was always waiting, but their hesitation stole the experience. Life is much the same. Opportunities will appear, but if you stand too long at the edge, fear will convince you to stay where you are, and the moment will be lost. Smart decision-making is not about making flawless choices. That is impossible. It is about making the best choice you can with the information you have, and then committing fully to it. Commitment gives power to your decision. When you hesitate, you split your energy. Part of you moves forward while another part pulls you back. But when you commit, you direct your whole being toward the path you've chosen, and that momentum carries you further than you imagined. Think about the story of an entrepreneur who decided to launch a business. Doubt whispered in their ear, "What if it fails? What if you lose everything?" They could have hesitated forever, waiting for the perfect moment that never arrives. Instead, they committed. They poured their energy into building, learning, and adjusting. Their commitment didn't guarantee success, but it gave them the resilience to grow through every obstacle. In the end, their success wasn't the result of a perfect decision, but of their unwavering commitment to the decision they made. Regret often comes not from the decisions we make, but from the ones we never made. The job not taken, the words not spoken, the dream not pursued. Looking back, we realize that hesitation cost us more than risk ever would have. As one wise saying reminds us, doubt kills more dreams than failure ever will. This doesn't mean you ignore reflection or rush blindly forward. It means that once you've gathered the facts, weighed your values, and listened to your intuition, you act. And once you act, you keep walking. Don't waste time constantly glancing back, wondering if you should have chosen differently. Looking back drains the energy you need to walk forward. Trust yourself. Trust the process. Trust that even if you stumble, you will learn, adjust, and continue. Commitment also builds character. Each time you follow through, you train your mind to be disciplined, your heart to be courageous, and your spirit to be steady. Over time, this discipline shapes your identity. You become someone who doesn't just dream, but decides. Someone who doesn't just plan, but acts. Someone who doesn't just start, but finishes. Think of your life as a series of doors. When you choose one, walk through it fully. Do not stand halfway, holding the knob, peeking back at the other doors. Move forward. Explore the room. Make it yours. Even if the room isn't perfect, your full commitment will transform it into a place of growth. And if you eventually find it's not where you belong, you'll leave with wisdom, not regret, because you committed fully while you were there. So, as you face the choices ahead, remember, hesitation drains, but commitment empowers. Make the wisest decision you can, then step boldly forward. Don't look back. Don't cling to doubt, and don't let fear steal your future. For the moment you commit, you unlock the strength, focus, and clarity to turn your decision into destiny. Life is not defined by a single grand event. It is shaped piece by piece by the decisions you make each day. Some choices are small: what to say, how to spend an hour, whether to pause before reacting. Others are large: which career to pursue, whom to trust, what dreams to follow. But every choice matters, because every choice carries you forward, either closer to the life you want or further away from it. Through these chapters you have seen that smart decisions do not come from luck or chance. They come from principles. They come from pausing before you act, from knowing your values, from thinking long-term, from balancing facts with feelings. They come from simplifying your path, learning from failure, seeking wise voices, and trusting your inner compass. They come from protecting your energy, committing fully, and refusing to let indecision steal your future. The truth is, no one makes perfect decisions every time. But you don't need perfection. You need direction. You need consistency. You need the courage to learn, the humility to listen, and the strength to follow through. When you embrace these principles, you begin to make decisions not out of fear, pressure, or confusion, but out of clarity and wisdom. Remember this: your future is not something you stumble upon. It is something you create, step by step, choice by choice. Each decision is a brushstroke on the canvas of your life. Some strokes will be bold, others delicate, but together they form the masterpiece of your destiny. So as you move forward from here, carry this truth in your heart: You already have the power to make smart decisions every time. Not because you will never stumble, but because you now know how to rise. Not because life will always be easy, but because you now see the path more clearly. Stand tall at the crossroads of your choices. Breathe deeply. Ask the questions that matter. Trust your compass. And then decide. With strength, with confidence, with vision. For in every decision lies the power to shape your tomorrow. And your tomorrow begins today.